Good day and welcome to this video presentation of my Computing Technologies in Society final report about the influence of AI on the middle class job sector. In this report we will look at several aspects of AI which might be able to replace job roles. Then we will take a look at some ethical considerations. After that we take a look at history and how employment rates changed, with specific focus on the Industrial Revolution. Then we will conclude this presentation by taking into account all the previous points. My hypothesis is that AI will have a major impact on the middle class job market, but influence employment rates minimally. Will AI have a major impact on the middle class job sector? In order to answer that question, we must first define what is meant by middle class. Sociologists have defined four classes of people. Now, if we break up these classes into fractions, we can get a picture of the structure of society. Clearly, the biggest class is the middle class, and this might indicate that AI will influence the middle class the most. In this section, we are going to list and compare some general tasks that AI can do and the tasks that middle class jobs commonly have. Since the job market is so big and diverse, it means that it will take forever to list all possible tasks. But in order to get a picture of what the most common tasks are, you need an occupation that resembles the middle class quite well. From www.mpr.org, we take a look at the breakdown of jobs across the American social classes. And it can be clearly seen that the middle class is most common. And the common occupations in that class is accountants, secretaries, truck drivers, managers, sales supervisors, and nurses. To compare, we used accountants and secretaries, as they are in most industries, and secretaries have more general tasks, and accounting encompasses more mathematical and statistical tasks that AI handle quite well. Now, before we compare it, it is important to note that all of these jobs have one thing in common. They are performed the same tasks almost each and every day, and because of that, it's not difficult to implement AI agents that can complete those tasks. On the side of the accountant, it can be seen that most of the tasks are mathematical, which computers have no trouble dealing with and can be done much faster than a human. The only major flaw AI agents currently lack is general intelligence. AI agents excel when doing logical, step-by-step operations, but there are still lots of tasks that are simple for a human that are extremely complex for a computer. If we break down what AI tasks can perform, at the moment, we can clearly see that by combining 2 or 3 or even more of these features, we can complete the task of an accountant. By using a combination of these techniques and general logic coding skills, we can model almost all middle-class jobs. For instance, an AI accountant or an AI secretary, which Google has already implemented fully. This is my first major point. AI solutions make it much simpler for people to manage their own lives and in turn reduce the need to employ someone else to do it. This part is still a bit of a grey area, as the technology is still quite new and improvements are made at such a speed that little to no restrictions are put into place. If we take a look at why we need to consider these effects of AI, here's a simple example. Truck drivers. There are millions of people relying on truck drivers, but what's going to happen if Elon Musk's self-driving trucks actually takes off in the next decade? There are two sides. One is that millions of jobs will be lost, but on the other hand, the roads will be much safer, since there are no more sleeping truck drivers. Both points have pros and cons, so what decisions should be made? This just shows how difficult it is to make decisions around this topic. A lot more ethical considerations must be made, and in my opinion, like many others, we must create a symbiotic relationship with AI and work alongside it rather than it doing our work. We must keep the creative process in our hands and only have AI do the grunt work. The reason why we look at the Industrial Revolution is that this is the time when the middle class started to form and the need for white-collar jobs emerged. Before that, there were only 2 classes, commoners and aristocrats. However, after the Industrial Revolution, new urban industries required new jobs and people to do them. So in my opinion, the rise of AI will have the exact opposite effect than what happened in the Industrial Revolution. AI will replace the middle class, and once again there will only be 2 classes, upper and lower. My hypothesis was that AI will have a major impact on the job market, especially the middle class, but employment rates will stay relatively the same. In the first part, we could clearly see that all the techniques that have been developed around AI is so powerful and applicable practically anywhere. This means that it is highly unlikely that humans will keep the jobs, since AIs can do it better, faster, and more accurate. Ethically, I believe lots of rules and regulations will be made to support society from too much influence from AI. Historically, employment rates have stayed relatively the same. Take the case for USA, where it has stayed between 3 to 10% for the past 100 years. Why is it that there are clearly jobs that do not exist today that existed 100 years ago? Simply because as technology improves, fields fall away, new fields take their place, as new roles get discovered in those fields. So I believe that employment could stay the same as it currently is if we guide AI correctly. All in all, we cannot outright dismiss all of these scenarios, and we cannot say until an event occurs which will indicate how humanity will consider their creation. Still, I find that my hypothesis is one of the more likely scenarios, and I will be able to concretely prove my point when all the necessary rules and regulations around AI are set up satisfactorily. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.